Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over 5 ways that you can increase your wins in Fortnite Season 8. We're going to be going over how you can be a smarter and more efficient builder, how you can rotate for endgame to secure that bag, get that epic victory royale, how you can be an aggressive turtle to trick your opponents even if they have high ground, how you can trick them to come down to your level and then get an easy outplay on them. We're also going to be looking at where you should be landing in Season 8 to get higher materials and better loot, as well as how to deal with a third-party fight, probably the trickiest thing in this game right now because the game has rapidly become a third-party meta where you have to deal with engagements coming at you from multiple angles. Now, I'm making this video because I've been getting a lot of messages lately that people have been on a losing streak or they just can't get wins in public matches in Season 8. And while this video definitely will help you guys win more games, unfortunately, I can only pack so much into one video. So I highly recommend ProGuides.com, which has the best videos on getting better and improving at Fortnite. They actually have a full course that they filmed with Mongrel himself. The course has a total of 10 chapters and 33 different videos. On top of that, ProGuides offers dozens of other courses, custom stats, tools, and a 24/7 professional coach who you can talk to at any time. They're really working at helping you improve your core mechanics, game sense, overall gameplay, the whole package. It's everything you need to get better at Fortnite all in one place. I highly recommend it, so be sure to check it out in the description link below. So the first clip we're going to be peeking at here is kind of a combination. It's an attempt at a rotate in late game, but it's also how to deal with third parties in this game as well. Now, in this situation, I got a player at deep and a player close beneath me. So I get some height on the player next to me and peep the other player. Fortunately for me, he's taken off. So now we're down to a 1v1 situation. The other player has opted to rotate in early game. And I essentially put pressure on the player here. Just kind of battling for high ground, but you'll see another third party, and again, I'm not kidding you when I say that the third party mechanics in this game are real. So here comes the aggressive turtle, guys. So the other player is down beneath me. He's posted up in his box, and we go for a edit play on him with the turtle. You'll see people will kind of go for the exact same move every single time that you box up on yourself. They'll just kind of try and pickaxe your wall apart, and you can read that very easily and go for an edit play to counter that. Now, more specifically, you're going to want to be practicing your simple wall edits a lot to improve at this aggressive turtling mechanic. But basically, as you see the player taking his pickaxe out or making a rotate side to side, that's when you want to go for the edit. So you can either edit and jump out, or you can just go for simple window peek. I'll showcase another example of this later on in the video. Next thing I want to talk about in the video is how to improve your rotations, as well as how to maximize building efficiency. One pro player who does this incredibly well is Tfue. I'm sure you guys have heard of him, but if you do, watch him in the late game. He does an incredibly good job of this. And here's a good example right now. I see this player kind of overbuilding, pushing high. Rather than continuing to play, I just protect myself from above and drop his builds down. That is essentially going to prevent him from kind of storm pushing me and blocking me out of zone. And now that we're on kind of even pairing, I can try and go and establish a little bit of high ground. Now, he doesn't really continue to peek me here, but it gives me a little bit more of an opportunity to dominate the high ground, take a good peek at the field, and figure out how I want to rotate. So right now, I want to be rotating uphill is where I want to be going, alongside this mountain. Not so much as to get stuck, but enough to make a rotate in. And I sort of make a bad decision here. I start to get shot out and try to run back down to resecure the ramp. I should have just kept going up and then just auto redeployed into the next zone up on the hill. Could have easily done that, but instead I kind of choked the decision-making process. But it wasn't a big deal. I'm able to, again, rotate in, but in a little bit more of an exposed fashion. If this player had peeked me, I could have gotten beamed very easily with the redeploy. And I do end up right in front of this other player. Again, I'm going to take a little bit of a build fight with this guy because he is challenging, but I'm able to block him off, establish high ground, and again, you want to be very, very aware of what the other player is doing in the fight, and once you know that you have the dominant position, just stop building. It's as simple as that. Maintain awareness of the other player and don't overbuild, because in this new mechanics, in these new pubs, your materials really are limited. Keep in mind that the other player, there's a good chance they're not going to be dropping that many materials. And while you might have 1,000, materials in your inventory that's 100 walls, you can burn through that very quickly. Again, here's an example of not challenging the overbuilder. Instead, just boxing up, protecting myself from above, and looking to where I can drop him down. Again, we're going to drop him down now bring them down closer to our level, and then we're going to be having an easier rotate in. If somebody has an extreme high ground on you, it makes it incredibly difficult to get an effective in-game rotation on. So not really challenging that, and instead focusing on getting them down so that you can get an easy rotate, and it takes them out of the power position in the hot seat. And then again, this guy right here might have actually not had a whole lot of materials left, just judging by the way he was building, because he went with this wacky like double floor, double ramp push, and we're able to take him out easily. Then it comes down to just the final 1v1 fight. I know I got redeploy, so I just keep a little bit of height here, looking to put some pressure on this player, figure out where they're rotating. They do have to rotate uphill, basically right towards me. So again, we're just peeking, putting on some very, very hard pressure now, and it's an easy dub, easy life. Here we have another example from early game, how to maximize your efficiency and how to win angles, fights on players from multiple angles. So I know right now that I have 3 different players collapsing on me right here in retail. I hear them around me, and so I box up. But it's very important not to box up and do nothing. That's a big major distinction. I feel like right now players often assume that the turtle is to just sit still and do absolutely nothing. But really the turtle can be used actually very aggressively. Basically, it's a way to control angles, figure out where players are going next, and always you want to be always flicking open and closed windows, so that way you can establish where players are. Again, we take out 2 players just with hard window peeks. And this last player, I think, is probably the better player. I go for a quick window peek on him, but he's not giving me enough angle. So again, he just expects me to stay in that box, and we can hit a pretty easy rotate around on him, and then start exchanging gunfire. Again, you want to be keeping your builds a little bit more minimal. Don't be afraid to drop down and challenge, because again, you're going to run out of mats very, very quickly in this. And if you're just trying to build for height, you're going to run out of mats and run low, and then really find yourself in trouble in no time at all. As you can see there in that last clip, I only had about 3 walls left. So you want to be very, very aggressive. Again, we have another example dealing with a third party here. Again, dealing with the what I'll call the aggro turtle. And we get challenged. Well, we're just doing a straight up fight on this guy here. We're going through our like Tifu special jump pump shots. But we get challenged from height, and then we also get challenged from our north side. So essentially we have trouble on all fronts. Once I realize I'm getting shot at by a bow from high, I decide to box up again and get a heal off. But again, I gotta emphasize, make sure that when you are turtling, do not just resort to turtling and turtling alone. Eventually you might become a target, and you're also going to reduce the ability of you actually cleaning out a player, giving yourself an advantage, and being able to rotate into zone. Because essentially right now we have 4 players all stacked on top of each other right on the edge of zone, and we have a big distance to go. So I know that somebody's got to die here. Ideally, I take out all these players, but if they're any bit skilled, they're going to be doing the same thing as me and playing patiently and trying to survive for the next engagement. So we're basically me peeking for anybody to make an early rotation. Mr. Ballman goes for it, and he gets basically absolutely beamed by all of us, and it's an easy clap. You don't want to be Ballman. Don't be that guy. Instead, you want to be looking around, constantly opening your windows, taking peeks, trying to establish where the other players are, and get some shots in on them. Hopefully, ideally get a kill. And sometimes what I like to do when I'm in a situation like this is to actually do my best to pit both players against each other. So again, I'm looking for the peek on this guy. I don't quite find it. I know there's still another player out to my north. So we establish high ground over these other players and hopefully pit them against each other. I know I have redeploy right now, so I know if I just go for height, I can get some distance in. And I hear them shooting beneath me, and so I decide to just go for that early game rotation. Get out of trouble. Again, I'll emphasize that this video today is focused on getting wins in this season, which I think if you focus on these strategies, you can definitely bump up your win rate. Keep in mind, it's a lot more difficult to challenge for kills nowadays in Fortnite just because of the third-party mechanics. If you guys want me to make a video on that, I will make one if this video does hit 2,000 likes, so let's smack those. But again, getting back into that rotation ability, you want to be challenging people, but you don't want to be just straight up overbuilding. If you see somebody overbuilding, you see somebody with weak points, don't be afraid to challenge and shoot them down. However, you do need to make that decision early, because if you wait too long to make the decision to shoot somebody down when they have a weak point in their builds with essentially 2 attachments, you could get in trouble and they could beam you. Generally, right now, I like to use kind of a 2 attachment rule. If somebody's overbuilding and they've only been anchoring their builds with 2 walls or floors or whatever, 2 joiners, I'll usually opt to shoot that down because I can generally get it shot down before they realize what's happening, or if they could direct good, concise fire on my location. So definitely try to use that out in games. Definitely try the 2 attachment rule. And obviously, if somebody's overbuilding like an absolute lunatic, you can challenge them by shooting down even more builds. You can also opt to go directly underneath their builds and just pickaxe it down. If you're out of their line of sight, you often will get that ability, but keep in mind you got to watch out for those third parties. Again, here we're just building as efficiently as we can. We're using the Tfue method here with our building, not to overbuild, but just to put on enough pressure to maintain our height and to challenge this player. And again, you're going to see this player do the classic overbuild, and we're not even really going to opt to challenge for their height because we know that once we drop them down, it's an easy bop on the fall. So you'll see that happen right here. So again, he's just trying to rotate in out of zone. He does establish height, but instead of just going up, I just decide to op him down because I know he's panicked. I know he's coming out of zone. He's probably not going to anchor well, and it's an easy drop down. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you found it helpful, feel free to use code Upshall in the Fortnite item shop, and you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and also my stream on Twitch.